Live from New York, let's break some up. You're listening to Shatter the Glass with your sister from another mister, Yane.
Hey, people. Good to see you. Welcome back to Shatter the Glass. I wanted to share this broadcast because this is officially the first interview done with my sister, Connie Barnes. She is an educator consultant, special ed, a whole lot of licenses, teachers and principals in different states. Like, she's covered in a whole lot of different areas, as well as in the collegiate space. And so this interview is super dope, and I had to make sure that it get up because this was my first interview. And so I want to put some respect on her name, her time, and for being the first one to jump into the Shatter the Glass hot seat. So please sit back, enjoy, watch this video, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. See you in a minute. All right. Welcome. I'm so excited as this is show number uno. Okay. I am your host, Yane, and this is Shatter the Glass. I am super excited to have this very dynamic conversation with my sister girl, Miss Connie Watson. Okay, well, we'll say Connie Barnes Watson, okay, because it depends on how professional network you come from. So I'm going to get the whole name correctly. If my sister could just come on in, Connie, come on in and come into the room. Yay! Hey, sister girl.
Hello. I love that intro. You'll be hitting
Yes, we're working on it. We're working on it, and hopefully, my editor will have some fun with us in this. But I'm glad I'm doing the people that I'm doing first, because these conversations, I want them to be as natural and as organic as they possibly can be, and really teach from that standpoint. So I want to properly introduce my beautiful queen here. Okay, so me and Connie go back more than a decade. So I'm happy to say that, right? Don't try to age date us. Don't worry about that. Black don't crack. But she is profound. She is amazing in the educational space. My girl got more degrees than you got toes, okay? And she is serious about helping our Black and brown students. And I witnessed it. The kids loved her. And then she moved on to other chapters where she started serving the elder children. Okay. And that's currently what she is doing now. But she's definitely I like to call us edpreneurs, because she's in the consulting space, but she's led schools, she's taught classes, she's observed classes. I don't know. I don't think there's anything. She's helped schools get state funding. Okay. Like, I don't know what part to not talk about. Definitely helped our babies in the special ed space. There's so many rooms that this beautiful woman has been in when we look at education. And so I am profound to have her sit with me as we discuss on Shatter the Glass, how my girl shattered the glass. Because I'm telling you, you can't just be anybody walking around here with 10 degrees. My husband's Nigerian. She could have came from over there for real, or Jamaican with the other side of part of me with 10 jobs. And she know that to be true. All right, Connie, unmute your mic real quick. Let's talk. My first question for you is, how did you get inspired to get into education? Like, what made you open that door?
Good question, which I hate when people say that, but it is a good question. And Brownie, I was not the person who grew up wanting to be a teacher or educator. Like that was not in my purview at all. I loved math. I loved tinkering and computers and stuff like that. And so my undergraduate degree, I started off in computer science, and my undergraduate degree is actually in economics. But I had a minor in English. I loved poetry, which you already know. I love to write. And so I guess that probably was where I was more into like this creative space of like, oh, maybe that's education. But I graduated from college, and like many of our adult children, right? What do you do with this degree? Where are you supposed to go? What happened? And I ended up working for a computer consulting company in Yonkers. It got to a point where they were like, so what you gonna do? You've been here dibbling and dabbling for a while. You're gonna be a computer scientist or not? I was like, I think that's what I want to do. But their daughter was a special education teacher. And I was like, oh, kind of interesting. And then my best friend from when I was like 5 years old, growing up in Mount Vernon, she was a teacher. She's been a teacher forever. And again, we won't age date her either, because I'm like, girl, how you been teaching this long? But she was also a teacher. So just watching the two of them, I was like, maybe this is something I'm going to get into. And that's when I decided to go back for my master's, got into special education, started working in the Bronx, and I've been in education in some space ever since.
How many years?
Then they're gonna know I'm not 21. Let's see. We're gonna leave it as over 15. How about that?
Okay, that's fine. Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, I love it. I think that it's important for us to be in this space and be able to share in this space, because representation matters, but more importantly, quality representation matters. So I want to just put that out there, and I'll do that on my own personal segment where I kind of ram in on that. Indeed. But I think it's a blessing for us to share in this space, and for children to see, oh, here are some positive Black women who are nurturing and caregiving in this space and really care about what we do forward. I don't, you can never have enough of it. I'll put it that way. You could just never have enough of it. And so no journey comes easy, right? What's your family dynamic? Are there educators in your family?
Good question. And I didn't know this going through school, but my great aunt or grand aunt, whatever you call it, my grandfather's sister actually was an educator. Had no idea about that. And she is really now one of my inspirations now that I've done the research on her. Dr. Clara Barnes was an educator she got her doctorate in the 60s. She got it from University of Pittsburgh, which sort of led me on the journey. I'm also pursuing my doctorate at the University of Pittsburgh.
Yes, I wanted to get into that too, but I was gonna wait.
I'm gonna throw that in there. So she was a school teacher. She was an elementary school teacher. She also taught in the college space. She was a dean for student affairs at an all-Black college in Virginia, which is now closed. She's taught at Columbia University. Just learning about her is amazing. I never knew it. People would always say, you remind us of Aunt Clara, but I was like, I don't even know who she is. And so I think she's probably the only, no, I take that back. And then my aunt, who's also an industrial engineer, has taught math classes in high schools. And so she's a major influence as well in some of the work that I do.
Wow, I love it. I have found out that since I went to a conference in 2017, I think it was 2017, I was in Texas that year. And one of the speakers was like, you can always find, like, who you become is always attached to something systemic in your family, in your DNA roots, right? And or something that relates back to your childhood. And it finds its way to push forth into your adulthood at some point, where you end up becoming that person, that being, right? So I remember I never cared about education. I'll be honest. I'm very clear about that. It was never the space I was trying to get into. I'm more political, if anything. And right, I like to rub elbows, make people clutch pearls type of ordeal. And but as a kid, I remember lining my dolls up and pretending I was teaching them. I do remember it. And so when that guest speaker said it, I was like, I did do this. It took me a while to remember, like, no one's thinking about what you did when you were 6.
Right.
But because we were on this thinking journey, a part of the conference, it made me fall back to saying, you're right. I probably would have ended up in this space in some type of capacity, or teaching people, period, because I was doing it at 6 years old with these dolls. They couldn't speak back, but I had this fake classroom, right? So, you know, it was remarkable. It was a remarkable exercise. I don't remember all of the steps, but you know, I do think that it's something that people should explore in themselves, because your inner child will let you definitely know your connection to the spiritual world, or what you're here for in some type of capacity.
For sure.
I ain't want to go that deep, but you know, that's a whole nother that's a whole nother Shatter the Glass
keep
moment.
going. The podcast keep going.
Pow, pow, pow. Break. But all right, so here we are now. You have done I know you from middle school world. Did you ever do elementary? That I don't know.
I was a reading specialist for a year, and I was like, can't do the little people, gotta go.
See, you know what? That is a teaching, that is a nugget right there. You realized it wasn't for you and bounced. We have too many people sitting in this space that know it's not for them, and they refuse to bounce. Go find what works for you. Go, whether it's the grade level switch, the school switch, or even the industry switch. I mean, I'm just gonna put it out there. Some of y'all know y'all not meant to be in education. Leave, honey.
Right. That is so true.
But I'm glad that you found it early in your career process and said, let me switch to something else. I'm still here, but I'm gonna go serve in another space. So okay, all right. So you get this degree now in special education. Like, what happens next for you? Like, what did you do next?
Brownie. My world was shattered, because I started teaching in the Bronx, like I mentioned, in Hunts Point. And even though it was in the 90s, it was still like, I don't know if anybody has seen, like, I never watched it myself, but I've seen clips of it. When they talked about how Geraldo Rivera went to that mental institution and how they were treating people who were mentally ill, it wasn't as bad. But when I was like, this is how Black and brown children who have a disability, who are emotionally disturbed, get segregated and discriminated against. It was just like, this can't be real. Like, this cannot be real. And you know, my professor was actually giving way too much information, but I don't care. My professor was the assistant principal at the school, and she brought me in. She's like, oh, when you graduate, I got this job for you. It's gonna be really easy. It's a cakewalk. It's 12 kids, you have assistants, blah, 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 blah. You know, being on the student side, you never know, like, 12 students. I don't think classes had 12 students when I grew up. That sounds good. Maybe this is new wave education. There's only 12 students in a class. I love it. Sign me up. I got a job. I went in and I was just like, first my classroom was in a closet, and everybody's like, we know you tell that story all the time. Like, because it really wasn't the janitor's closet. Like, I could walk you to the school right now and point to the room. It was in a closet. Classroom was in a closet, had no supplies, had no books. The kids just would show up. And I was like, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. But like you said, Brownie, when you show up as a brown face, if you're from the kids' neighborhood, if they can sort of relate to you in some way, and you're showing up every single day, and you're kind of in those trenches with them, they will perform. They will show up. So my kids came to school every day, but I was not, unless they were in Spofford, which was the other thing that they got in trouble. They went to Spofford, but they showed up every day. They would sit, they would learn, and you're like, these are the same kids that people were like, they don't do this, they can't do this, they won't do this. And they would do everything. And it was just like, wow, how do we change this environment for these kids? Why is it still existing? Who knows about this? And what can I do as a change agent to make things better? And so I stayed there for 3 years, and then I was like, you're really not making a lot of change. You're making a change directly with them, but those larger systemic issues and sort of raising those concerns in more spaces is not happening in the classroom. And God bless all the teachers who stay teachers for like 25 years. Like, God bless y'all. Because that, again, not me. I want to be in education, but I know like that wasn't it for me. And so that's when I went on to, I went back to school, got my administration certification, switched schools, I switched districts because I always wanted to go back home and teach. So I'm from Mount Vernon, so I went back to Mount Vernon to teach, became a principal's intern. And then right after that, Brownie, that's when we met because I came on over to Queens.
Queens, get the money.
Come on. Yeah. And again, you know, getting over to our school, but coming over to our school, one of the first things we were able to do was look at the discipline code, right? And you know the students, they were getting sent home left and right, suspended left and right, all the Black and brown kids, and really just being able to say, this has to stop. And we did it, right? We really sat down and looked at the discipline and worked with those teachers and said, no, you're not going to send these kids home all the time. And, you know, some of our favorite students who would be sneaking out the door all the time, right? Getting them back in school, getting them back in classrooms, working on helping them navigate through their emotions so they could get out of there.
Yeah, that was a word, because I don't think that we talk enough about the structure, revisiting policies, and then of course making an actuality, right? So when you go to school, a lot of stuff is theory, not actually some of it's not even logical. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you.
And this is true.
Because when you get there, right? Like what you learn compared to what you deal with when you get there are different worlds. And I don't know if the current colleges are even addressing that gap. I kind of feel like we lose people and we're losing, I mean, we're losing educators. This pandemic wiped out a large portion of the educators, besides of the, you know, whatever policies came down the pipeline, whatever. But it was already in a sour spot.
Right.
But I think it could improve if, one, it actually is nested in reality. So when you're doing those classroom hours, or you're partnered with somebody's school in some capacity, I would like to see more practice and ethical practice versus theoretical beliefs and thoughts, because it's not cookie, you know, it's not that, you know what I mean? It's not real. It's just not real. And so when people get the real, they like, oh no, what did I sign up for? And they go run into the hills. And then we lose people who had the warm spirit of joining the industry in the first place. I mean, I've also seen people who were great with bonding with the kids and growing the students. And I've seen administration teams turn them completely off, and they've left the industry. And I'm like, oh my God, we lost a gem that could have been out here really making a difference because of educational politics, right?
Yes.
But okay, so I know that you have done some state government work in the education space. Talk to us a little bit about that. Like, what was that like in all capacities, right? Being a Black woman at that level, being someone who wasn't from that state, at that level, right? You never know where the roadblocks are going to come, and you never think that what you're bringing to the table could be seen as an obstacle until somebody try to make you an obstacle or be your obstacle, if that makes any sense. Talk to me about that. I don't know, should we say the state or should we say politically correct? Because I don't want to just say you were somewhere in the south.
Somewhere in the south.
Somewhere in the south.
Somewhere in the south. If you Google me, you'll figure it out. But somewhere in the south. I did work for the State Department of Education. And this is another story that I always share, right? It is sometimes you can find an ally in the purpose that you're trying to accomplish. And you have to be able to look beyond what you believe the stereotypical trait of that person is, right? So,
wait, just pause right there. You just dropped something. An ally in the purpose. I gotta write that down. Because that was profound.
Thank you.
And I love when a good nugget get dropped. All right, go ahead.
So I was, like you mentioned, here I am, this Black woman, we'll say liberal, going into this very conservative Republican Southern state and working at the state level. Literally, like, there was one person between me and the superintendent, right? But even though he was a very staunch former military conservative Republican, his purpose was the kids in this state need to learn how to read, period. So whoever the people are that are going to help these kids learn to read, to graduate, to get substantial jobs, those are the people I want on my team. So, probably if I had encountered him somewhere else, I probably would have been like, oh, this dude, I'm never going to talk. Like, I would never be in that space with him, right? But because he was very clear about, we have to get this thing done because our kids are failing, specifically the Black and brown kids are failing. I was like, oh, all right, we're on the same team. Let's figure out how to get this done. And so, it was charter school space, which again, we both live in that world, and it's always an obstacle, right? There's always somebody who's, why are we doing this? And it's the neoliberals, and are you becoming a part of the problem, and this and that. And to be honest, a lot of the obstacles came from people who look just like us.
Oh my God, what? I don't have my equipment set up, but I would have hit the shatter glass button on that. Woo!
And I get their perspective, but at the same time, if the whole public education system is, can I curse on the podcast? Is a crap show. Is a crap show.
I can't.
If it's a crap show and there
educators curse too, we're human, all right? Just so people,
educators curse more times than not. They may curse in front of the students, and the students will go, Miss Barnes, you just cursed. No, I didn't. But anyway. That happened to me. I was like, I didn't curse. The little girl was like, you did. You said the S word. I was like, oh, you don't say it anyway. But they were very adamant about, how do you represent this sort of entity that's trying to do this and take away this and do all of these things. And it was just like, that's not what I'm representing. I'm representing choice. And you should understand that until we can do better, and also charter schools are public schools, so let's get our language right? The schools are still public schools. They are still public schools. Until we really address the problems in public education, period, if this is an option, my child can go to a school that, yes, it's newer. Yes, there's running water and the toilet's flush and there's doors on the bathroom stalls in the toilet, and they have some books and maybe they have a computer. I'm gonna advocate for them to have some of this over here, because if I keep them over here where there's no doors or toilets and the water doesn't work, and the lunch looks like jail food, where am I sending them in the long run? So we had some back and forth. There was a lot of letter writing that went on to some organizations that should also not be named, but at the end of the day, stand firm in your purpose, right? Like this, I'm about these kids and I'm about the opportunities for these kids. This is what this guy is doing. This is what this team is doing. We were part of the school improvement team. And so my department was running the charter schools in the state, and then there was other folks on the team who ran the school turnaround programs in general. And so we were all, and then the Montessori sector. So we were all part of that same sort of alternative schooling space.
Okay. Whew. I can't imagine, because I know they ain't my tell. But what, to me, that's you fighting on the line. Like, listen, at the state level, people don't even understand what that means to be fighting at state level. We're not talking about just dealing with your principal that's in their office and you catch them. We're talking about the bureaucracy. We're talking about the people who create the red tapes, but then tell you to go fulfill the big dream, but they gave you they put up the red tape. Like, yo, how many obstacle courses you want to give somebody? I digress. However, you then left that world and went into online world. What was that transition like for you?
Same thing, right? It's always thinking about like these alternative spaces. And as people of color, shout out to Reading for Smiles, we have to think about alternative spaces for our children, right? Like we have to get outside this box of, well, they have to go to the schoolhouse and sit in the schoolhouse from 8 to 4 and kill and drill, right? And no, there's alternative ways to educate, but you have to be ready and prepared for those alternative ways of education. So would I say virtual education is for everybody? No, because I'm a prime candidate here that can't sit there and do that virtual education. I don't go to that type of program. But for some students, it's the best thing that ever happened. It lets them focus. I've listened to kids talking about, Ms. Barnes, the kids would pick on me in school. Now I can just go to school and learn. The kids in my school were distracting because I'm in a class of 35 and these 5 kids are always disrupting the class, and they don't get pulled out of class, so the rest of us suffer. Now I could sit here, I could go to the, if I go to the full class where there's like 100 students or whatever, I could choose to do that, or I could just go to my little pod and do my module and do what I need to do and focus on my learning. And I feel so much better about that. So again, looking at what has traditionally been set up for Black and Brown kids, are they thriving? Probably not. Where are the alternative ways that they can thrive? And virtual education happened to be one of them. Now, I'm going to also throw in the plug, right? We can explore virtual education and homeschooling as an option, but we need to be prepared. And while our other neighbors may take full advantage of that and be very successful, we may not have the resources in our community to do that. But I am also advocating for, when we have these retired educators or people who have left the profession, like you mentioned, let's get them together. Let's work on these homeschool pods. Let's get our little Black and brown kids together and get them the education that they need in these alternative spaces. So virtual education was very interesting. I had to learn myself like I used to be. I would be able to go in and see how the teachers could manipulate the curriculum, but they could take out, which might not be able to do in a regular classroom, but in the virtual space, I could take this out, I could hide this module, I could let you do this, I could do all these different things behind the scene as a teacher. If I understand that Yane needs X, Y, and Z to get to where she needs to get to, she needs to complete it at her own pace, so they could set it up that way. So again, it is a very powerful tool. But for our communities, we need to understand how to use it, and we need to have the right people in place to help our families navigate through it.
great points. What is your take on, I mean, what are the top 3 things you think families or people need to know to make it equitable in that space? Like, what is your 3 top things? I mean, maybe there's a longer list, but I'm just saying that number.
For the organizations that I work for, there were parent academies. So parents, ask about, if you're going to put your kid in an online school, ask about those parent supports because they have them. And I think that's the greatest tool for parents to have the support. We walked you through it. This is what to expect if your child is in high school. They're going to have to take these tests. Number 2, this is not a school that's exempt from all the rules and regulations. Your child still has to meet attendance. So if Johnny is in the room on the computer and you thought he was doing his classwork, but he's really like on Minecraft or whatever it's called, you need to be sure that you are still monitoring your child in the same way you would monitor them if they were in a physical classroom to make sure they're meeting their attendance requirements. And again, they still have to meet the same requirements of being in school. So they're not going to be exempt in New York from a Regents exam. Well, we don't have it in New York, but if it were in New York, you wouldn't be exempt from a Regents exam, your state exams. You still have to meet those requirements. You can just get to them in a little bit more of a different way at your own pace. And then number 3, what would number 3? I guess that's kind of like 3. I don't know, just be vigilant and find, talk to other parents. Talk to other parents to make sure you have a network, because again, it is a lot when you say, well, I'm going to keep my child home 190 days out of the year, and they are going to be online and also doing the work that supplements the online classroom. Who is managing that, and can I really manage that?
Now, that's on the family side. What do you think educators need to know on their side of the road to be able to make online learning successful?
The same way you need to build a community in your classroom physically, you need to figure out how to do that online. I think yes, I'm going to mention them. At the second company that I worked for, there was a lot of opportunities for community building. So they would have ice cream socials where the teachers would say, hey, I'm going to meet at this Ben and Jerry's on 42nd Street. All the kids who are in my class that can come on down to 42nd Street. Let's get to know each other. Or they would have, we would do end of the year field days. So, everybody meet me at, I don't know, Crotona Park at 1:00. And we're going to bring, everybody gets to meet everybody. You get a t-shirt. So you still have to build that community. And I've worked with some colleagues who are like, I don't know how to build a community with these kids. They're online. I'm like, because you're not trying. So that's number 1. Number 2, have compassion and understanding for the students who are in your classroom, because I think, and I don't have statistics to quote, but in my observations, the majority of students who were sitting in those online classrooms had some sort of struggles in their physical traditional classroom. So they were bullied, academic challenges, and bullied for a number of reasons, right? Bullied because I'm different, me and my sexual orientation, bullied because we're not making as much money as the next person, so we don't show up in Yeezys every day, we show up in Skechers. And so making sure the teachers are just kind of cognizant of those social emotional needs from that virtual side. And third, it's still a lot of work being online. Don't think it's a cakewalk. It is still a lot of work.
Okay, so I'm taking that as a person listening in of preparation, like be prepared. Preparation is going to be a key for being successful in that space. But compassion and building community, definitely. I would agree. As somebody in the virtual space, I would definitely agree.
Yeah.
You have to make it feel as normal as possible, and inviting, and keep it engaging.
Right.
Like, this is not just click this link, read this article, answer these questions. It's let's have a discussion about it and stuff like that. And I think that's the missing link. I don't know. I was listening to Dr. Umar Johnson talk the other like last week or so, and he was in, I think, Belize.
Okay.
No. Or is it Aruba? It's one of the two. I feel like it might have been Aruba. And they were talking about the disparities in education and stuff there for the students. And I thought it was interesting. And then he went on his plight about from what I took from it, and if I'm wrong, you can correct me. In private, brother. Okay. Before we be out here going.
Right. Don't do that.
If I'm wrong, or I just don't like to misquote people. But I felt like from what I took from it was that he's not a supporter of the online school pieces. And I mean, I can understand that from a psychological standpoint of where he's coming from, right? I always like to look at it from the person's background and stuff. But I also know that if you don't have any experience in it, or you're not successful at it, you're gonna walk away with a different take on it. But it was interesting, and I'm like, nah, we need to collect our kids in any of the spaces that we can. It's just about, does it work for you? You know what I mean? It's not, does it work at all? It's, does it work for you? That's a different conversation. And I feel like it's in the mustard. That's not the word I want to use, but I'm going to use it. In the mustard gooiness of this all. We're not looking at that full circle.
Right.
I don't even see policy working towards it. And I'm like, we're in the digital age, right? Everyone's online doing something. These kids, I didn't know what they was talking about. So when they had to buy skins and all this stuff, whatever game they was playing. And I was like, what are you talking about? Right. And then now you have Meta with Facebook, and I say, and they have definitely approached me in different ways of trying to say, hey, you're running a business, you should be on this platform. They want everyone. I have my own hesitancies about that for numerical reasons, but that's a whole nother show in itself. But I do say that is where things are going. And so if we don't want our children to be left behind or this gap to widen, why are we holding them back from learning what's to come? Especially when we already need to close these math and reading things. Like, I don't care what job you go for. You know, before I had that conversation with others who like, oh, college isn't for everybody. I hate that conversation. It kind of boils me, but I get it. If I get it, I always look at education can come in many plethoras, right? Like there's no one route, but you're always going to get educated, and no matter what you do, because you can't be profound in it unless you get educated.
That's right.
You know what I mean? The world can be your classroom, literally. And we're not talking about just four walls, but I don't know. That's like a whole nother conversation too. I don't know. There's much I guess I'm going to be shattering the glass on in perspective, because it's like I think we're not doing our children any justice. Black, brown, white, whatever. At this point in this day and age, COVID should have taught us there's other ways we got to reach and engage these kids. We had literacy gaps before the pandemic. They have submerged immensely since this pandemic. I mean, when I see babies can't put a sentence together, I'm nervous because we want to teach them code and we want them to be online. But guess what? Even if you worked online, you got a job in the online space, you can't write everything out with an LOL. So you get what I'm saying? You still need to actually use a language. Linguistics still matter in the digital space.
Correct.
I also feel like we're not having that conversation, let alone our generation. being interviewed and filling out forms. I mean, all of those things are still a process. And I'm going to go that direction with you because now you're dealing with the college babies. We've been on a journey since we've been having this conversation. Right? So I'm not only going through your career path journey, I'm going through the child's journey. I didn't get through these layers, right? Now I get to college.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I want to do, right? I'm going because somebody told me this is where I needed to go. And I do want to say for the record, stop doing that to your kids. I do want to say for the record, because college is too damn expensive for you to be going and not knowing what you want to do. So I am an advocate for saying if you need time to take that space to figure it out, take it. I will say go do an internship, go volunteer somewhere, go get hired and work somewhere. I mean, wherever you can do to get your feet in on the ground in the industry you think you want to work in, because that will let you know what the day-to-day world looks like. And then you can go backtrack and say, let me get my education in this space because I want to be profound in it and make the dollars that would come with this industry. I think we kind of got a few things a little backwards. It's like go, 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 go. And you want them to hurry up and go. It sounds great to say my kid is in college. But when you actually ask them what the hell are they studying, they doing there, and it's like, I don't know. Oh, they don't be mad with Samantha for taking 2 years and not figuring it, not knowing. And that's 2 years of money being blown, spent, tap hell, if you in New York, being spent, and you ain't getting that back. You know what I mean? And before you incur a debt on your name, which, oh my God, I would love to have that conversation with you too. What is it that you are seeing with amongst the college kids? Let me take that jump back.
So where did we start with them? First, I want to go back to your statement, right? The college for everybody business. What I think we should be saying, and I'm on the board of a charter school, won't name them either, but Google me, you figure it out. But what we've changed language to say is that all of the students who graduate from this high school should be prepared for college and the workforce. So, am I saying that Yane necessarily has to go to college on September 4th when she graduates from high school? No, but I'm saying that in our preparation and teaching Yane, she should be ready to enter a college if that's what she chooses. She should be ready to go into an internship if that's what she chooses. But overall, she should be ready to be productive in society, but know that she always has that access to go to college. And like you said, the college talk is a whole other conversation because I have my own opinions about that, having a child in college, and how we get there. What I see with students right now, you have this split. You have these kids who went to schools that had all of this intro to this and expose to this and go visit this. And they're sort kind of like, I think I want to do this, right? Maybe not 100% sure, but they're approaching it from a different way. And then we had some programs before, I know one of them, the funding has run out, but it starts in high school to ease them into college. So they're not just dropped off in, freshman year, don't know who's my advisor, where do I go? What is student life? Where's the bursar? How do I get this? How do I get that? You have those folks. Then you have the other folks, maybe that wasn't what's happening in my high school. So now I'm just in college. I don't know the first thing about anything. And even now, when I work with some students who are juniors, they'll say to me like, well, what is that? And I'm like, how long have you been at this school? 3 years. You don't know what student affairs is? No. You don't know what they do? No. Let's rewind. So you have this split and the students are really just getting lost. And you can understand why so many students get there because I think as adults, we try to rush them. Yes, they're adults in a numerical sense, but we're rushing them to be these adults, to make these decisions when a lot of us, if you see me, like count my jobs, when a lot of us don't really know what we want to do in our 30s and 40s. So how do you want this 18-year-old to be like, I'm going to finish this in 4 years? And can we also stop selling that dream, that capitalist dream, right? That you're going to graduate in 4 years. If you do, kudos to you, great. But if you live in real life, most of us did, it's probably going to take you 5.5 years to graduate. Like you said, balancing where you're going to school and the funds, but be okay with, I graduated in 5 years. I'm okay with that. Like, what was 4 years? I worked. There was no way I was going to finish in 4 years. But we sell that to a lot of our kids. They get into a panic, especially Black and brown kids. They get into this panic. You got to meet somebody else's ideal and standard of what a college student looks like and is and whatever. And they get so off track from what they need to actually be doing. And so during the pandemic, I was actually an adjunct for a freshman seminar class. And I strongly advocate, I hope that all colleges have something like that. Shout out to CUNY. But it was a collective space where I, as an adjunct, could say, hey, has everybody met with their other professors? Does everybody know how to use the system to contact their advisors? Kids didn't even know. They're just like, I don't know how to ask about this class. I don't know where the financial aid office is. So somewhere we are missing that. And I know a lot of it is because of the pandemic, but we really need something that is similar to what a lot of high schools have, that freshman academy or freshman seminar. You have to have that in college. And like you said, stop forcing these kids to just, I got to decide as soon as I graduate. We as Black and brown people should start to look into what a gap year could look like for our kids. And I know parents are gonna be like, he's sitting on my couch for a year talking about he figuring it out. He better figure it out at a job. Well, you can, right? There are plenty of programs. I'm not going to endorse any because they're not paying me. However, there are a couple. One I used to work for that has a high school program where you can get some hands-on skills. You can get paid at the same time. While, like you said, you figure out what you want to do. My daughter was also in one of those programs that support students, I think from 18 to 25. Maybe you're not going right to college, but you know what? Take this year, figure out a skill, get an internship, build your leadership skills, get you a new wardrobe. We have to have more of that for our children before they jump off into whatever the next step is after high school. Or we're going to have a bunch of depressed people who are just lost walking around on the streets because college didn't work for me. I couldn't get this job. I'm just going to chill.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I keep advocating and saying, okay, even if it's not college, you still got to get educated somewhere. So I'm going to big up the trade schools and stuff as well, because at the end of the day, I feel like it's just a conversation about options and access, right?
Exactly.
And so, and I can't stress that more than to say that our kids just sometimes don't know. And they don't know because either sometimes the educators are not sharing or the educators themselves don't know, which is why it's so important for all schools to build community, not just in your building, but outside of your building, so that you can know what nonprofits and other people that are existing that can make a pathway eligible for your kids. I mean, if the goal is really about seeing them succeed, why not form those bridges? We can do some dynamic stuff if everybody come to work together on the behalf of our community. I mean, I will say I stand with Umar in one thing of we need more of our own. Institutions, all that type of stuff, because try to be politically correct. Because they need to see more representation. I always felt like this in the hood, right? I grew up in the projects most of my life. If they knew that there was opportunities out there for them and they saw the actual opportunities for them, the hood would change.
For sure.
Now, I'm not saying everybody can get on the bus and go. I'm not saying that.
Correct.
But I am saying that more people would be able to get on the bus if it was accessible. And I say that because we had a friend that was running for office for city council, right? And he focused a lot on the NYCHA developments on our side of Queens because there's 4 of them there, and Queensbridge being the biggest one, right? And I said to him, because everyone felt like he needed to meet me, and I mean, I know why, right? But nonetheless, I said, how come there's no literacy centers in no hood? We have community centers, and there's some learning that could happen at the community center. I'm not knocking that, but a lot of people are there for recreational activities, social groups, et cetera, et cetera. I'm talking about literacy designed institutions in our communities.
Right.
They don't exist.
You're right.
There's no science center. There's no math center, mathnesium that does exist. I'm not trying to shame them or anything, but they're not in the hood. Kumon is not in the hood. And I mean, I get it. Their business, they're trying to make their money, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not gonna knock them for doing what they do. But the person that have kids in that neighborhood are not going to get there.
That's right.
Right? Whether it's because of a financial burden, knowledgeable burden. And then we have to address the mindset of certain things in our culture when it comes to our kids and education too. Because everybody's like, go to school, go to school, go to school, go to school. Right? Everybody's saying that, but you didn't even make sure that you put me in a quality one. You just say go.
Ooh, see, you hit the nail on the head, the mindset.
And so if I'm going out there to get all of this knowledge, but then that knowledge is not even being supported back at home, then there's another disconnect. That's another bridge that now has to get repaired. Like, you know what I mean? And it's kind of hard. And I think we've given so much energy to the delinquents that we haven't looked for our star studs in the groupings of people too. There's a lot of kids, you get teased for being smart. You know what I mean? You cool if you do X, Y, and Z that you ain't got no business doing. Right. But you're a dud and a nerd if you want to read, if you want to go, you want to sit here and do experiments and stuff like that. Like those kids within the community are not celebrated or even acknowledged sometimes. And that to me is an issue that we need to shatter the damn glass on. So this is why I say owning our own. In that space and being quality about it, because we got some great principals out here. Shout out to Damon Dash and the other principal network that's going. I don't know people off the hand where I can say I can phone call somebody, but I will say this is that quality representation matters. I can't get off that bandwagon because if you're over at your school and you trying to host a fish fry, I don't know how that's benefiting the kids that look like us. It's a great social day. It'll sound fun. Sort of.
We gonna read while we eat a fish sandwich.
Is this fish sandwich gonna change the trajectory of my life? Like, I'm gonna go back to you because you made I know on your path you've made some conscious decisions. I mean, what made you even study economics? I'm gonna go back because this stuff can come. I'm gonna bring it back full circle, but I'm gonna start with you on economics. What made you even jump into that arena?
Maybe subconsciously, there was an interest from a childhood. We won't stray over there, but as I've had a conversation with my father the other day, like, I watched you do a lot of things. Some very good, some I got a question mark about. But what I did learn from you was this entrepreneurial spirit, this business ethics, how to negotiate certain things and look at the world. So that could be part of it, right? Like you were saying, going back to childhood. I didn't really know what it was about, but it was somewhere in, at least in my head, it was somewhere between, I really like math, I'm curious about business. So what is it? And I don't know why I chose economics versus finance. You know, I had some finance classes in the coursework, but that's where I landed over in economics. And I think economics is one of those places where even if you're not explicitly in or explicitly an economics theorist or whatever, you're always looking at something from an economics perspective, and you're always thinking about things, like even in school, right? You're always thinking about things like, well, what is the business plan behind that? And who's profiting from this? And is this, or is this? So I think it becomes sort of a mindset that you always have when you study those type of principles. And honestly, it's a lot more. When I think about people now who are truly in economics and as theorists and professors, it's a lot of thought. It's a lot of analyzing what's happening in the world with our economics. And I think, again, that's something that you and I definitely do, like, all the time. We're always questioning and always like, who made that decision? How does that impact all of these other people? So that's how I ended up there. I do want to say, Ronnie, when you said mindset, to me, that is so important, what we have to do in our communities, because we have to break generational modes of thinking that say, you're going to go to that schoolhouse, you're going to stay in that schoolhouse, you're going to go right to the other schoolhouse, because that is the only pathway. And or you're going to go to that schoolhouse, then you're going to go get this city job. You're going to stay in that city job till you die.
Right.
Because there's a pension. So we think there's some insurance. And those are the two things you're going to do, along with stay black and die. That's what you're going to do. And we don't want to hear any back talk. And so we have to, as people in this space who have now seen different things, we have to go back and really work in our communities to teach parents about these alternative ways. And yes, it's okay if Johnny is working at the startup that you never heard of in your life, but guess what? They are paying him and he's getting a good salary. And especially in some of our immigrant communities, we need representation who can make those connections, that know your child is not completely lost in this American system. What your child is actually doing is making a lot of money that's really going to help you and the family change your trajectory. It just doesn't look like the things that you've always been told they have to do. And that's a huge, like, that's something I've had to work with in CUNY with my students, helping them navigate the parental space, even as adults, right? Like, I'm 20, but my mom is like, we don't do that in DR. So what you think you do?
Right. I think, yeah, well, having an immigrant parent, I can definitely say the conversations are different.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, in a lot of immigrant communities, you come to America, the expectation is doctor, lawyer, scientist.
That's it.
Or the best accountant they possibly could have. Now, what I will say when I have my conversation with another guest coming up in the future, when we talk about generational wealth, are those players necessary? Absolutely.
Correct.
And when you look at, I don't want to say it like this, but when you even look at mob families in that regard, they do actually have people in position in different in different ways. Yo, we sent you to school to go learn this specifically for that. But those are the type of things you have when you're trying to build generational wealth. Now, if we're still starting at scratch bottom, and someone has a pathway that could lead to that place of economic change or economic freedom, I think people just need to rally behind them and support. Nobody's going to get it right on that first try. I'd rather support somebody who's trying to chase a dream than somebody who's just chasing nothing.
Right.
Where it don't matter, because you're going to burn out. Chase nothing or chase the bag. Sometimes you're going to burn out in that.
Right. Yep.
And you lose momentum and can hit a really dark space if you're not even surrounded by the right people.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that being surrounded by the right people is everything. If you even look at anybody who's in my 2 comma club, which I love, everyone is at that table is like, yo, it's all about the right people, because the right people create the right environment, and the right environment gets back to the mindset.
That's right.
How has economics helped you along your journey through life? I mean, being that was your major, has it helped you? Let me go that way. Let me not even assume it has. Do you see that it has helped you on your journey path?
I think indirectly, yes. Probably now in a later state in life, I can say, ooh, okay, so maybe that's why you made certain decisions. But I definitely think that the way that I moved through life is a reflection of that. Because again, it's understanding, like, what's it play against you? What's it play against you if you decide, you know what? Yes, I'm gonna go over here because I got accepted to Harvard. And was it you not talking about? Yes, right? Like, you're going over here and you're getting your liberal arts degree from Harvard in days. So you just spent what? $250,000 from I don't know where. And now what? You're dancing. Did you make it to Alvin Ailey? Probably not, because that's super selective and you're not an American ballet either. So anyway, you got $250,000 in debt. Would you have maybe gone over to City College for this undergraduate degree? Done the same thing, got some field experience, probably connected with the people in the city? Probably. So that was one of the choices, right? Like, yes, I had a full scholarship for 2 years and I didn't clear the 3.3 at the time. Didn't have the access and the people going, if you write this letter, you could get this, you could do. So I had to make a decision for me. What do you do that's financially responsible? Can you get the same degree over here? And these professors are actually pretty dope, and what you're learning is actually pretty intense. Yes, I can. Let me get myself over here. Let me save the bag. Let me go do this thing over here. One thing also, like, I am very proud, and you probably make fun of me, right? But like, I have a really good credit score. And I know that people don't really think that that's important, because that is something that we're not taught, right? Mm-hmm. But when you have a certain credit score and you just want to go, I'm going to get a car. I'm not even going to get a Mercedes. I'm not going to get a Maserati. I'm just going to get a car. When you sit down at the table, the conversation changes. When they hit that button and it ping, like, oh, well, go get her some coffee. Yeah, go get me some coffee, right? But again, that was because I'm going to sit back. So what you talking? Even with housing, same thing. Brent, I had an experience 2 summers ago. You know, we were interviewing for an apartment. Guys talking smack, blah, blah, blah. His assistant said, she literally picked up the paper and was like, I think you should look at this. It's my credit score. I did this. Wait, hold on. Can you move in tomorrow? Nah. But it is one of those things, again, that you learn, like, you understand the power of credit. Not saying you walk around with 500 credit cards, but the power of building up your credit, which establishes a certain relationship, which helps you sit in a certain position. And it's not hard. But that's something that we're not taught. So those are some of the things, you know, again, and just I think about like when I'm moving through spaces and talking in the business space, right? Like, what are we doing while we're doing it? How long are we going to do it for? What are the gains? What's the return on the investment? So all of those things, I think, again, have subliminally been under the surface, but as I move into different spaces, it manifests differently.
Oh no, you're right. That there's so many conversations I feel like we're not having that need to be had. And hopefully I can continue having them here on Shattered the Glass. Come here and get educated. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Find your allies in purpose. Listen, that's gonna be the catchphrase there. Find your ally in the
T-shirt
purpose.
tomorrow. T-shirt
Yes,
tomorrow. Catch me outside.
yes, yes, catch that. Because I mean, it's true. And I used to love Paula Bevins for this quote of y'all gonna have to look her up. Okay. If you ain't in the education space, just look up Paula Bevins. For saying you don't know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I'm an advocate for finding out and looking up things that you don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My mother was somebody who would always push us, yo, go figure it out. She built all of us on that. Go
Mm-hmm.
figure it out, because at the end of the day, you're going to have somebody who may want to help you, but
Yeah.
if there's a person that don't, or a group of people who don't, what you going to do? Not get it, not have it? So you
That's
need to go
right.
independently, go figure it out, and you
That's
will
right.
meet those people along the way in that space who can help shape and tell you more.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to do some footwork, right? Put your own
Mm-hmm.
skin in the game, and then
Mm-hmm.
doors start opening as well. And so
Mm-hmm.
you obviously put some skin in the game with around economics to be able to position yourself to now laugh at these people who are now, oh, would you like to have a seat? Would you like a cup of coffee? Want to talk to you nice? Okay, talk to me nice, because now they saw this credit score when you should have
Mm-hmm.
just been nice from the gate.
Exactly.
Mm,
Exactly.
that's what's wrong with
Exactly.
humanity. Let's just be
Mm-hmm.
kind from the gate.
Mm-hmm.
But I digress, because I said that could go a whole nother way. So,
Mm-hmm.
all right, we are coming up to the top of our hour together. This has been phenomenal. Thank you for
Thank you for
being
having me. I always appreciate talking to
on.
my
Yes, yes,
friend.
yes. Please, and please know this is not gonna. I want you to come back. I
I'm
want
here
you to
for
come back,
it.
because
I'm here for it.
there's so
So
much more
much.
from this. We only scratch surface, and there's things I know we can dive deep on. I
So
mean,
many
seriously
things.
deep on. But I want to know from you, what
Mm-hmm.
is one moment where you know you shattered the glass?
Oh, ta, 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 ta. You may have been there, or you may have just left me when that happened. So, when I was in that southern state that shall not be named,
Right?
they were having their statewide. First of all, just the fact that as a Black woman, I was in charge of the state's charter schools. That was $5 million budget, whole other situation. But they were having a statewide charter conference, and the superintendent was supposed to give the keynote. And he was like, I'm not doing it, she's gonna do it. And it was like, oh, word. And there was some rumbling about, well, why is she going to do it? We've got this other person. You could pick this person, but she's going to do it. And he's like, she's going to do it. That's it. I'm done. I'm not talking. She's going to do it. And that for me, like, I can remember how my speech started. But for me, that was really a substantial moment. Like, yes, it wasn't a lot of us in the room, but the cousins who were in the room were kind of, when you got to the bathroom, they were like, mm-hmm. You were like, yes, auntie, we are on the stage right now. So it was just one of those really defining moments. And also in that role, when we were talking about advocacy, I was able to work with one of the lobbyists and then the chief of staff to help rewrite a piece of their charter school legislation. And sometimes I forget, because you're busy as a bee doing a whole lot of stuff, and you have to go back and be like, wait, no, I helped them actually work on that, because again, it was excluding a certain group of students because they weren't in the charter schools. And we felt that it was wrong. Like, kids are kids, they should have the same opportunity. And so we were able to work on that. So I think just in that role, some of the opportunities that now I look back, at the time, I probably didn't really pay attention to it, but now I'm like, Yeah. Check, boss.
Let me end with you with this. What would your message be for the person who wants to get into the educational space or sustain in the educational space today? Your advice to them to push forward um, and shatter the glass in their realm.
I think you said it already. You have to find those communities out in your building, but also outside of your building. Who is in your network? If you don't know, if your friends are not teachers, go find a network that has teachers who teach in the same spaces that you are. Because if you teach in a school near Queensbridge or a school in Hunts Point, that's different from teaching over here in Yonkers or New Rochelle. So find the people who are in the same spaces. Be patient and remember why you entered the profession. None of us enter this profession thinking we're going to be rich, because we know that's a lie, right? But we entered because we have this passion and compassion and empathy for people, and we want to make sure our children are succeeding. And if you can remember that, despite all the craziness that's going around, despite the policies that don't make sense and they make you do this thing and you're like, why am I doing it? If you can stay true to that, you can sustain, you can find the right spaces, you'll find your tribe, and you will definitely make a difference in a lot of children's lives. And always remember, you're not saving anybody's kid. Like, stop that. You are supporting, you are helping, you are guiding them on a pathway. That's it.
Yes. You said we did. I'm trying to be rich in this space. There is 23.
Well,
it was $23 trillion globally spent in education.
so, yes.
And I feel like I'm gonna just put it out there. People who work as hard as I do, you do, there's a collective, okay?
Yes. And I should rephrase that, right? I should rephrase. You're not going to get rich in, as a public school teacher.
Yeah.
But as an educational space, oh.
Yeah, because that's the other part. Because really, a lot of people like, oh, you go into education, you're going to be broke. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I think it depends on what you do in this space, but do it with a great heart. Do it with the compassion that Connie is talking about. Do it with the clear agenda, right? This is not self-serving. You reap rewards from it, but you don't go into this thinking it's about you.
Right.
But no, I think that there are going to be some elevated things that I hope we get to see in this space. I mean, right now I got a lot of question marks. I'm going to be completely transparent. This pandemic has showed me the strengths and weaknesses not only of teachers but our leaders.
Oh boy.
And I just don't want to be one of those people who just support and cheerlead for nonsense.
Come on.
I ain't doing it.
Come on.
I'm not doing it. So yes, future guests, I'm just gonna put this out there. Like, I'm not the person to come and sit with if integrity is not part of one of your core values. Don't come to my space because I'm not available. I'm not available. 2023 and beyond. I'm not available. I'm not entertaining. I'm not intrigued. I'm not inspired by you. I don't even want to be around you because we are now I think we're in a space and time in this world where lines have to be drawn. You could do your thing, but do it over there. Because I'm looking for people to unite with who are serious about the advocacy, the hard work, the creating the opportunities, the really building generational not just generational wealth, but generational knowledge,
Yes.
so to speak, right? Like there's so many things. Like I want to be someone who stands with those who fill in the gaps.
Right.
And mean it, not
Right.
surface.
Right.
Mean it.
Mm-hmm.
And that whatever work I do, even personally and professionally for myself, is going in towards that direction.
Agreed.
You know what I'm saying? I can't sit with the nonsense. Like there's people knowing that they're not doing the right thing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And they're okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
They're okay with it, and that's fine. Be okay with it. I'm not okay with it.
Right.
So I have to remove myself from the party.
Yep.
And so we'll shatter the glass on this end in the best capacity that we possibly can, and help our fellow educators who want to be in the space remain and sustain in the space and do well in the space, so that the children can benefit and reap those rewards. All right, my dear, it has been so lovely. Where can people find you, follow you, all that good stuff?
The tags. You can find me at the.coach.c on Instagram, also on Twitter, and you can find me at www.unmaskedu.org.
Do me a favor, say it one more time.
In the chat? You want that in the chat?
No, you can put it in the chat, but I'm just saying do it one more time because there was a lag on my part where you cut out.
You can find me at the.coach.c on Instagram and Twitter. You can also find me at www.unmaskedu.org.
Yes. Oh yeah, what is unmask.edu?
Brownie, that is my, I get so excited when I call you Brownie. That is my educational consulting firm, started in 2018, inspired by my friend here, Yane Robinson. What are you doing? Get your life together. Get this. And our lovely Lisa, who is like, listen, we all gonna be in this mastermind and we gonna get this together and we gonna do our things. Shout out to Lisa. Love her. Anyway, before we get all emotional, let me get back on track. But that's my educational consulting firm. I started in 2018. I work with schools and school leaders and nonprofits and strategic planning, supporting professional development, curriculum development. Started in Atlanta, brought it on over here to New York, have been supporting schools and nonprofits and new teachers. Just, we get in there, we see what you need, and we get it going.
Yes. I love it. Make sure you follow my girl, my Brownie, and come and get some of that wisdom. Because like I said degrees. Maybe I should have said more certificates than anybody, because my girl is licensed to teach, licensed to be a principal in a few locations, okay? Her knowledge knows no borders. I'm just going to put it that way. Her knowledge knows no borders. And so that is what makes her inspirational and impeccable. And definitely shout her out, thumbs up, like the video, support the channel, and we are shattering the glass. We're going to break into some new concepts. Connie, thank you so much for spending your time with me. I love you to pieces. We must do a follow-up. Totally muted, right?
Thanks for joining Shatter the Glass with Yane.
So, hey peeps, we are live. We've been live backstage while you guys been going through the real show, through the recording. Let me put it that way. So I'm super happy. Shout out to Janae. Hey, Renee, Janae, and Renee that I know in the chat over here. Connie, thank you for coming back on live. You got to unmute though.
Hello.
Hey, brown girl. How you doing?
Hey, Randy.
Listen. Oh my God. You dropped some nuggets. I was sitting there rewriting things down.
I know, right? I was like, ooh, ally in the purpose. We did say that, right?
Ally in the purpose. But let me tell you something. We definitely still have to have another conversation. Let me tell you why. So schools are closed this week, at least in New York City, for winter break, or New York State for winter break. But I was open
because we do the literacy boot camp, right? And so I thought about you because I was like, we're not having enough conversations with children in certain aspects. And or even I know I've had this conversation with other educators, period, where we don't make things, not we, sometimes other educators don't make things clear to children of where they would learn something or why they're learning it, right? So check it out. So we're gonna call nephew Raheem. Raheem is my son too. And so Raheem was like going through these questions around shapes and was just he wasn't getting it, right? He was like, Miss, I don't need to know these shapes. And I was like, what? Because he was starting to get frustrated because he wasn't getting those answers right. And he was like, I said, how you know you're not going to need them? He said, because I already know what I'm going to be when I grow up. I'm either going to be a YouTuber or I'm going to be at the supermarket, right? So I was like, okay. I was like, you sure? He was like, yeah, miss, I don't need to know nothing about shapes. And if I don't need to know shapes now, I'm not going to need to know them as an adult. I said, well, you know what? We're going to go on break. When you come back, I'm going to show you something. I showed the whole class because me and him was working on something one-to-one. And so I showed him 15 careers where shapes are necessary. And so he was like, well, that's interesting, miss. But I'm still going to let you know, I don't need that to be no YouTuber. No, and I just laughed and I said, you know what, baby, I ain't even mad at you. But I had to do my part with explaining to you where shapes do come up back in your adult world. I don't want you to feel like you're wasting your time having to know these things. I'm just going to show you where they pop up. And our job as regular educators in the K-12 space is to make sure you get all the information because we don't know what direction you're going.
Exactly.
And so there is a surface level of information you need to know and have. And then, by all means, you decide your pathway once you're done in this space.
Right on.
Going
over there on YouTube, brother.
You're like, Miss, I don't need these shapes.
I love it. Oh my goodness.
I'm telling you, listen, for those of you guys watching live or the replay, when you work with the children, you are going to laugh. Like, they don't disappoint or saying something that make you stop in your tracks, like what you just said. Okay.
And the adult children do the same.
Oh, nah, yeah, I already know that. Matter of fact, can I tell a story? Can I tell one of our stories?
I'm afraid, but go ahead.
Yeah. So, I ain't gonna say no names, but so Connie has me come over and I'm helping with her grown babies. And we're doing some mock interviews and stuff. And so I'm like, okay, what do you want to do with this job? And it's like, oh, I'm just trying to make the money. I said, no, you don't say that on the interview. You can let that be your reason for being there, choosing this company or whatever, but you don't say that on the interview. Not on the interview, honey. You don't know the person that's interviewing you, so you don't know how they're going to take that, and that could be the deciding factor of whether or not you get the job or not. And so again, yes, following up with our actual session together is we have to continue having a lot of conversations with the youth. And really preparing them forward for what's to come next their way. But it's crazy. But I had to share that with you because I just look at it and I'm like, these stories is hilarious. These kids is hilarious.
We have so many.
What's new on the Connie roll tonight?
Oh, so she's back with the adult babies, as you know. I am. I have a new title, new long fancy title.
What is the official title?
I am the director for the ACE, shout out to CUNY, National Replication Collaborative. So
national. Okay, look. Okay, Michelle Obama.
we on award tour. We on award tour trying to get people into these programs. Yes. So basically, CUNY has ASAP and ACE, and if folks don't know what those are programs to help folks complete college in a certain amount of time. ASAP is for associate degree programs. ACE is for your baccalaureate programs. And because the model has been proven that if you provide these wraparound supports, which we know, right? But if you do it in a sustained and consistent and intentional way, your students will see the desired outcomes. And so 6 states so far have taken up the charge. They said, okay, we need to move our populations. We need to get these students graduating. We need to get them into careers. Let's do the model. And so we are looking to continue expanding this model to support folks.
Okay. Okay, I like it. I like it. I like it. Well, I'm not gonna. I'll ask you in private.
This is live, Brownie.
How's it going, girl?
Be politically correct. It's live. No.
Yeah, we gonna be politically correct. Well, listen, Janae's on here, and she is going for her administrative license.
Hi, Janae. Hey, Janae.
What advice can you give to someone who is going for this level?
Well, I'm gonna say Janae probably has the same ideas that maybe I had about how to make systemic changes and how to get into spaces where you can advocate for greater changes, because yes, our classroom teachers are doing that work and advocating, but sometimes they need somebody to amplify that voice for change. So be prepared for that. Be prepared for the pushback that you get when you get into certain spaces. Also be prepared for the lack of opportunity, right? Because for me, it was like, okay, so now I got this degree, where am I going? Or this certification, where am I going? Because nobody's hiring.
You keeping it all the way funky and real. Okay.
I mean, you know, these are things you have to consider. So,
these are things you do have to consider. Okay, fair enough.
You know, you get A and you're looking around. And just stay true to whatever led you to that pathway, right? Like for me, again, it is, how do I get in the spaces and places where I can make systemic changes for students who look like me? And if I need to be at certain tables, then let me get the credentials, because we know for people who look like us, sometimes you need the credentials to get in the room, to say the things you need to say and do the things you need to do.
Yeah. All right, that was good. I mean, Janae, she gave it to. I mean, she kind of did give it to you. I was looking for the encouragement, Connie, but okay.
I mean, I am encouraging.
I mean, that was encouraging, but it was like sometimes.
Listen, put on your gear. Put on your gear, and let's get ready. Let's get ready.
Nah, I told her the same thing. I actually told her to also think about becoming an edpreneur, because listen, at the end of the day, it's all gravy. Being in these spaces and stuff, but you can still chart your own path in education, doing your own thing. Like, you don't have to be tied to nobody's school. And so I'm gonna tell you Janae's story. Oh, she's still here. She said, I appreciate the authenticity in your message, Constance. Thank you, Yane. She went to China, and she taught in China and then came back. And is open to going back, right? Not to China, but to Thailand, other places. We kind of got into that in her interview. Check that out. And I was like, you can make a career out of that by being the plug, technically, because there's always a group of people that are interested in traveling abroad and doing this work abroad. And, you know, be to connect. And of course, I went a little more detail with her in the background. I ain't trying to give out all my jewels.
That's right.
Out here on the live channel. But if you in my space and place and I love your face, I got some information for you.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yes, I love all things business. Okay. I really do. I love business. I don't know. I'm like, yeah. Because you could do this, you could do that, you could do this, you could do that. Yes. Get your money. Yes,
if you want to we have some accelerators if you're also interested in getting some startup funds for that. But you didn't hear that from me on this podcast.
Wait, did you say something about some startup funds? Because I need some startup
accelerators. I said, stop. Brownie, you're already in business, but fortunately, if she works with Brownie and then puts together an idea, and then
I'm saying, listen, what if it's a new business?
Indeed. Yeah,
I'm just saying
things happening here.
Oh, you know what? Listen to because since you with the collegiates, can you keep your eye out for some friends that are in AI for me?
Oh, okay.
AI, AR, or VR is where I want to be at.
Okay. I got a VR person.
I mean, I'm already in it. Truth be told, I've been putting people on even to the chat GPT stuff as well. Y'all better.
Another conversation.
Yeah, no, seriously, Brownie, I've been in it for a while. I've been using it.
Mm-hmm.
It's been good to me.
Okay. I need to interview you then. Who's doing your podcast as you talk about that, please?
I don't know, but you know what? Maybe I should do a segment on it. But I had a friend too that tried 2 days ago or something. They wouldn't let her in because they had stopped. But then she got on. I said, "Try again, girl. We don't stop." Okay. Mm-hmm. And then she got in last night.
Okay.
Yeah, because they getting ready. It's been people are running it up. Mm-hmm. And there's some opportunities in it, and I was like, they about to charging people. So listen, if you are listening and when you're with us and you want to understand what Chat GPT is, just look it up. It's AI. It's a responsive networking tool or source. It spits out information back to you. And I'm just going to say, if you're a person that knows how to ask the right questions, it's a tool that works to your benefit. If you don't know what you're asking, you're going to say, you don't know what the heck is going on. I don't get it. This is a waste of my time. And I'm going to say, it probably is. It's not for you. Not for you. Not yet. But if you know how to ask questions, it could be a game changer. Then I found another AI tool. Shout out to Journey with the Hintons. Her name is Monique. She don't know me personally, but you know how you get a friend in your head? She my friend in my head. I'm like Wendy Williams. She's a friend in my head. Because she put me on to something called Midjourney. Midjourney allows for you to create images. And so for those of you who want to create your own t-shirt business or do graphic art wall stuff, because people are paying for graphic art that they hang up on their wall. Mm-hmm. If you're familiar with other third party, I'm not going to say their name. You know why? Because ain't nobody giving me a check. When y'all give me a check,
you giving out a lot. And I'm like, we don't need for this.
No, I don't mind Midjourney because it's free, but I'm going to tell you, they kicked me out already. I was sitting there because it's something, I will say this, it's a tool that you have to understand what to tell it for it to craft out the image that you want. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not a graphic designer type of person. So by the time I was really starting to catch on, my free time was up.
Oh.
They're not like Chat GPT. They letting you rock for free for a few images.
Okay.
And then they like, yo, what you gonna do, Craig? You paying or what? So I might pay. Because I I've seen people develop logos. I've seen people look like they're doing like some like movie ad posters. I mean, it's so many different things.
Interesting.
And for, like I said, those in the t-shirt world or things, people who are doing this third-party print stuff, this could help you get to the bag. I'm just saying. You're gonna have to invest, but it's a small investment.
Okay.
It's a small investment. You know.
Scared money don't make money.
That's funny. Scared money don't take no money. When I see you, I'ma take your money. Ain't that what Mr. Meek Mill said? Whatever, child. I don't care. I'm just listen, people. This is after our show. So
Right.
One thing I pride myself on is being full of knowledge and information, and I don't mind sharing, you know. And so so there are some great AI tools out here, and this is a serious conversation. You know, let me bring it back full circle, and then we can close out or whatever. But we do need to have these conversations because our children that are growing up, whether they're in elementary or college right now, the game has changed. Career choices have changed, right? We now live in a time period where she said it's a vibe tonight. She said she was able to get into Chat GPT. Yay!
Before getting charged.
Yes. And so what was I saying? Oh, we're living in a time where children are like, yo, when I grow up, I want to be a YouTuber. And that's not something that we said 15 years ago.
Right.
That's not something that we would have heard kids say. Then we also wouldn't have had children say, well, listen, I don't know. Like I said, it's different. People are out here making thousands of dollars by streaming rain sounds here on YouTube. You get those views up. You can get your money from being an affiliate marketer, influencer, whatever. And so I do feel like some of the conversations we have with the youth should include that. We need to let kids know, no matter where they are, about these additional ways of building their careers and lives. Social media is a whole job now, right? You're getting paid to run some.
I'm trying to get paid. Yeah.
And because of so many people doing images and all these different things, that's a whole career path too in itself. And so things are evolving and changing. And so we do need to have those conversations to make sure these children are prepared to be in that world.
Producers, not just consumers.
Right. That part.
So,
I could have gave you the glass. Hold on, girl.
Please give me the glass. I've been like enjoying this all night.
Wait, it's coming. That's for you.
Thank you.
Are you? Oh, well, no. So you're not really working with the students directly in your new role.
Not in that role, no.
But you still doing things where you still have a touch point with students.
Dr. Auntie will always be working with the children.
Yes, I would like to know if any of them ever spoke to you about the AI and VR and stuff like that. And so for anyone who doesn't know, I don't want to just be speaking in code or circles. We're talking about augmented reality, virtual reality, and artificial intelligence.
And you know what, Brownie, to your point, that is exactly what they were talking about tonight when I had my focus group with these young ladies. We were talking about being prepared for the workspace and the next steps. And they expressed concerns and fear over where their career path is going to go because of AI, because of these massive layoffs in tech and all of those, and because of things like Chat GPT, like where are the spaces going to be for them when the competition is so great
I think
for
that
them?
I'm not in your circle, but my advice to those people of your circle would be to understand back end.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Obviously coding, back end, maybe some type of programming, or start getting in early now where those things are being created, and help jump in on what the tool could be used for, and like
Mm-hmm.
don't let it sit there and knock you out.
Right.
Get in front of it.
Right. That's a whole other podcast too.
Yeah, it is a whole nother podcast, but I am going to say it is coming to replace, because just like remote working, I laughed. I saw this article. This guy's like, "Oh, people are frustrated about working from home." Who are these people that you interviewed? Because I don't know them. I know a bunch of people that's working from home, and myself included. We're good. We don't want to be at your building. And then for those of us like, other than because your heating bill is up a little bit, put on a hoodie and keep it like drink some hot tea. Like, I mean,
I'm the 1% over there. I don't want to go every day. But I'm the 1% that's like, maybe I'll go today. Yes.
Girl, bye. You and your 1%. Because the rest of us is like, we good. Look, I look at it too for overhead and stuff. If you own a business, like if you can get rid of the overhead in that type of way.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Please. You're paying for it, like custom costs. The way inflation is, please. Oh, economy lady. Before we close out, this is so not educational, but educational.
Okay.
What do you feel about the consumption tax? So if we get rid of income tax and we take on the consumption tax, where they just charge, they're gonna give you all your money in your check, allegedly. And then, but everything outside in these streets is gonna be 30% taxed.
And where did we come up with this formula in percentage? I wonder who made that decision. Yeah,
Somebody in DC.
And somewhere we were not at the table for this conversation, right? Because it sounded good. That's insane.
They think that it's going to help the American family, but I'm thinking you about to rise inflation all the way up. So if I spent $100 on my groceries, which was already high, by the way,
right?
Here come $130. If me and my
like I don't see how we got to this.
I don't know. It's gonna be interesting if it get passed. But I want to ask you because you're the economist.
Again, it's always like, who made these decisions? What is the point of this? How did we get to this? Because it didn't just come out of the air, right? Like, what are we trying to do, right? In the podcast, what are we trying to do? What are we trying to achieve? What is this now going to disrupt and cause some imbalance? Like you said, right, Yane, like if it's already $100 now, attacking this 30%, what does that look like? So, it's just the myriad of things that would be attached to that I don't see how this makes sense. However, it is supporting and further separating the classes, right? Because me over here, I hope y'all can't hear that in the background.
Yeah, we can.
Oh God, Jesus. Sorry. See, and this is why you don't work at home, because you have things like that happen. I'm glad it's after 8 because that was extra.
So yeah, but again, about edpreneurs as being wives.
Oh God, and military wives. It's just, I need a whole segment. Like, yeah. But anyway, just who made the decision? What's behind it? Where's this going to go? What else is going to accompany this tax? Because things never happen in isolation. So what else is happening? It's the whole big picture. And somebody would somebody would take it in isolation and go, oh yeah, this sounds great, let's do it. But again, what are the other pieces that are attached to it that we may not know about that are going to affect us in the long run?
They trying to make everybody poor, girl.
Yeah, basically, like I said,
Yeah, you know, I won't go too deep in politics, but America's trying to fall. Somebody trying to knock America down, and so, and it's an inside job. It's not an outside job. It's an inside job, and so, I don't know. My advice to people is just make sure you have certain things in your home, stock up. You know, put some things aside, put some coins aside, manage your spending. If you are spending, make sure it's worth your while or return on the investment of some sort. Unless you're out here creating memories. I mean, I won't take that away from people. No, I mean, spending time with your loved ones and all that stuff is important.
Sure. Balance.
But
always balance.
You know, I don't know if this is the season to go buy them Yeezys. Not right now.
Just saying, I can't buy eggs, so maybe not the Yeezys. Just
right,
you know.
Unless you was Beyonce, because now let me tell you something. If I would have tried to get me a ticket, I would have had to been singing all the single ladies, all the single ladies. What? I hear it now. Where are you going? Why? That is a waste of money.
I hate you so much.
Oh man. Anyway.
Life. Hashtag.
Life. Well, anyway, I ain't gonna hold you because it's definitely time. But thank you for coming in and sitting in the backstage.
It was fun.
And this private but yet public.
I know. It's a whole vibe.
Recap. Yes. Listen, no, I am serious. I am working still on this whole event that I wanted to have. I don't want to put the name out of it just yet, but I could text it to you. And yeah, I want to do something fun and amazing for women.
Yeah, we gotta talk, Brownie.
I wanted to do it next month in honor of Women's Month.
Mm-hmm.
And then Santos was like, do it in May. I mean, it was a whole, I have it on Facebook. If you're friends with me on Facebook, you can find out what I'm talking about there. And so I'm like, maybe. But then I'm like, nah, when it came to my spirit, I was jumping in for March, just trying to find the right location.
I got a space for you if you like. But anyway, we should talk later.
Do you? Wait. What borough?
It is not of the Queens.
No. I've been looking in Manhattan, actually.
I have a space for you in Harlem. If you like. We can talk offline. I will send you some photos.
Oh, okay. I like it, brown girl. I like it like that. I like it like that. I like it like that. Ooh, Janae, you better come too. Listen. No, seriously. So I already lined it out. I already have the agenda.
Of course you do. Because that's what you do.
Yes. And I want it to be a brunch. So I don't know the hours of your location, but you can tell me that on the private side.
Okay. Yes.
And no matter where it was, I was gonna have to pay somebody to bring in food. So I like, and we were gonna focus on some mindset, integrity, goals, build a network.
Yes. Great. Could you be filling up the space that I'm supposed to be filling, but I was trying to push it off? Yes. All right. I'm sending you things.
She said, I'm definitely playing this recording back. Yes. Because I want to definitely personally invite all the guests who have come on to the podcast already, all the women. Anyway, sorry, dudes. Sorry, brothers. We
got y'all in June, Father's Day.
Father's Day, or just another day. But I was very intentional about saying March is Women's Month, and so I'll probably be asking some people to just come on and chop it up again. You let me know your schedule as well, so I don't know. I'm only trying to do lives on Fridays and Sundays because that's just what works for our household at the moment. The baby, so I gotta
Yes.
give
Work
my
life,
little man.
mom life,
wife life, entrepreneur life. I'm like, the baby hitting on my laptop. I said, stop. What you doing, bro? Get a job. So now I got to go to Walmart and go find him a baby laptop so that he can feel like he's doing something.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Mm.
But anyway, the events would be great.
Yes.
I even made personalized cards.
Ooh.
I'm about to let me show y'all real quick because I could do that.
I love it.
We
just hang out. We can hang out all night. We get all the jewels if you hang out.
Yes, when you hang out, right? Like, so everybody, you should go to canva.com and you can be creating your own stuff, whether it be letterhead, whatever, posters, flyers. I really do design a lot of my own stuff. And I don't try to pretend like I'm some graphic artist person because that would be a lie. I'm not that. And so see.
Oh.
But that's all I'm gonna show y'all. I ain't gonna. I'm just showing y'all the back of the card. I'm gonna show y'all what's going to be on the opposite side.
I like that. I'm excited.
Yes. So I've been working.
Always on.
Janae's so stupid. And I'm excited and I want to. Like, there's some things I really want to do. And I'm living in this duality of a world of I'm educating over here. Am I going to stay there? Or am I jumping in full coach mode and building this other thing out that's been sitting on the back burner?
Dun, 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 dun.
Or do both.
Dun, dun, dun.
Queens girls get the money.
Hey.
All right, girl. Anyway, let's go. I'm gonna talk to you on the back because I want to find out about this space and if it's gonna cost me a whole lot of money.
So,
just
bring the food. Just bring the food. You just gotta get the food.
Wait, let me play Alicia Myers. I want to thank you, Heavenly Father, hey, for what you done on me. Oh, hey, Janae, you switched the accounts.
She's like, it's too much on the other one. It's just
I
too much.
know. Listen, okay.
All right, get off.
All right. Listen, so yeah, I gotta go. We gotta go. I'm having fun with y'all. I had to sign off from my mom's account to get this party.
Right? They're like, she's a teacher. Who those people?
I should have sent you the link, child. I should have sent you the link. Say, come on in the room. Come on in the room. But you know what? All right, you know what, Janae? Keep that in mind. What I can do though is we can have a powwow session as educators in this month of March because it's Women's Month and we're women. Hey! I'll send you guys a date and y'all just let me know if that works for you guys.
Who beans?
And then we can talk about whatever y'all want to talk about. It could be leadership because she's trying to come into leadership now. And
word.
What that looks like and what that may take. Janae, I don't know. Is your school public? Well, they're all public. Let me not go that direction. Is it a charter though that you're in? Because that could be a different conversation. Oh wait. But yeah, anyway. That's good. I'm trying to get the finance girls on too. Let's talk about the money. Why am I hyped up, Brownie? I don't know.
We don't.
All I had
we're
was
gonna crash
peppermint.
and burn in like 5 minutes.
I had peppermint tea. Oh, it's public. Okay.
Public. I love it.
Oh my God. All right, ladies. Let me get my brand stuff up. That's what I was supposed to be doing.
Oh, and do we get one more Shatter the Glass?
Oh, yes.
Like that just excites my whole
Listen,
life.
first of all, let me tell you something. For the mere fact that you said we may be able to have the space in Harlem, you get the okay.
Yes.
Bam. We in there. Boom. Are Saturdays a okay time? Saturdays an okay day of the week?
I have it booked for Sunday, but let me see. It's new. There may be some Saturdays. We gonna talk.
Okay. I just don't,
right.
because when I said I don't want to get too damn excited and it can't be a date I can even use. Like, no, girl, you can only come on a Monday. Oh Lord.
Bye, Janae. She's like, y'all need to go to bed.
Yes. All right, y'all. I love y'all. Everybody who tuned in and left. I know you're gonna come back. Come back again next Friday. I don't know. It'll come up about who's coming out next. I think it's Sabrina. I think it's my homegirl Sabrina. So please tune in, hit the subscribe button, hit the likes and the shares. Let's go. Can I get to my 100? I got different milestones I need to keep hitting. So I'm almost to 100 subscribers and I need to keep going. Yeah, I'm doing good for somebody who's been on for a month. So we'll see that. Anyway, y'all, I love y'all. Let me get the deuces up.
Live from New York.
Oops. Sorry.
Thanks for joining Shatter the Glass with Yonne. Tune in next time to hear more breakthroughs. But before you go, share, like, and subscribe.